Hello. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can write operations, the behaviors for the structure object. First of all, in this tutorial, I'm going to write input operation in order to take input from the console, and output operation that's going to print the student object into the output console. So let's write the input first. So input student, that's the function that's going to input a student object from the keyboard. Now it is going to receive the address of the student object where we are supposed to assign the input from keyboard. So it's going to be the student pointer. So from the calling point, we will be passing the address of the structure object which is supposed to get the input. So here if I call input student in order to take input from keyboard, then I will just pass on the address of the object where the input is to be assigned. So that pointer sp, when receives the address, will be pointing to the structure object where the inputs are to be kept. So here we go. Using the sp pointer, we can access the attributes of the structure object by using the arrow operator. Okay, so enter role. Here you can see that I'm using sp arrow role. That's the roll number within the structure object where we are supposed to assign the role. So the address should be given, ampersand should be given, the address of that role variable within the structure object. Okay, so then printf, enter name, and name should be given into the name array, caret \n for everything except the new line, and then comes the sp arrow name. Now name itself is the base address to the array. We don't need to provide the ampersand operator here. Here it's, let me give a space here in order to do away with the buffering problem. The grade point is double, so it should be lf, and then ampersand sp arrow gp. So we are done. And now in order to write the print function, I'm just writing print student and again receiving the pointer, and here I'm just, now we can omit receiving the pointer here because it's not going to assign back value to the original location as we did in case of input operation. Input student is supposed to take the input and it should be assigned to the original location where the structure object is. That's why we send the address. But here the print function is going to receive the object and is going to print the content of the object. It doesn't require to change the value back to the original location. So receiving the object by value would be sufficient. So I'm just printing the content here. So this %4d, then comes the name, %20s, and if we want it to be left aligned, then -20s, and then %10.2 lf, and then comes sp dot. Now this time it's dot because we have received the object totally. The object gets copied into the variable sp here in the formal argument, name sp dot grade point. So it's going to print the content of the object which is received here in the print student. So I can just go ahead and call this print student and pass the s object where I have kept the input. Now I'm running this program, so it will ask for the input and then it will print the content of the object again back to the output console. Here you can see that it is asking for role, so I'm giving 1, and then it is asking for name, so I'm giving Arnold, and the grade point, and again it is printing back the content from the object to the console. So the input and output operation is clear. In this way we can write the input and output behavior for the structure object. It's really confusing sometimes that why we passed the pointer here in the input operation and why the object by value passing is just sufficient for this print operation. In order to understand, you must have noticed that we have declared the object s within the context of main locally. That means s is not visible outside the scope of the main function. So in order to read the content of this s outside of the function, the object passing may be sufficient, but if we want to write or assign the values to this object s outside of the function main, then we must pass the address, and that we are doing there in the input function. So here is the block diagram. The s is declared within the context of main. Now had we not passed the address to the input operation, input function here, then in that case we're just passing the object by value. Then here only the object gets copied in the formal argument into the corresponding formal argument. That means SP is going to be exactly the copy of S object in the main. So in that case, everything within the SP is the copy of the S declared in the actual location. It's a bit by bit copy. Now if we just input the values in this function input student and assign the values here in the SP object, then what happens? The roll number, name and grade point all are assigned here locally in this input student function. So it's the SP object that is locally declared within the input student function. Now when the function input student is over, then this variable gets deallocated because it's the local formal argument, and when we get back to the original location here, S is assigned with nothing. So here the purpose of the input function is to input the values from the keyboard and assign them to the original location that is here. So in this case what we need is to pass the address so that the original location could be accessed and the values could be assigned to the original location. That's why we are passing the pointer to this function. Now if we do so, what happens? Now this SP is going to receive the address of this S there in the function. So SP is going to point to this original location, and now using the pointer SP and the arrow operator we can access the original location. And now in this case you can see that scanf is going to take the value and we are assigning the value directly to the original location. SP arrow roll means the roll number of the object that is pointed by the pointer SP. So now in this case all the values that we are taking from the keyboard are going to be posted to the original location. Now in case of print student, our intention is to print the content and we do not have any job to assign back some value to the original location as we had in the case of input operation. So here we are just passing by value, and in that case this SP is the copy of this S object of the original location and the values are copied bit by bit. So it's the roll number that gets copied, say 5, and then the name and then the grade point. They are copied here into the locally declared formal argument SP, and we are just printing it out using the printf statement here. So we don't have any need to write back some value to the original location. It's only the read-only purpose. So if you only want to read the content of structure object, you can just pass the value. But if you want to have a change in the attributes from the function, then you need to pass the address to the function. Hope that helps. Thank you.